Good evening and welcome to the FB4 Daily for this Thursday evening. This show is brought to you by Paddy Power. It's a bookies, it's a website and it's an app. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly and try to do so with Paddy Power. Odds on Liverpool, odds on football, odds on all other sports as well. But as I always say, gamble responsibly. Tonight we are going to have a look forward to the game versus Spurs at Old Trafford. It's not at Old Trafford unless it's a FA Cup semi-final from the mid to late 90s. It's I really did get out of that well. No, it's at Anfield, I promise. It's at 4:30 and it's a Premier League game. It's not an FA Cup semi-final. Sorry, I just had visions of the 96 semi-final when Robbie Fowler was doing things to Aston Villa. But look, it's a game between Liverpool and Spurs. We're going to look forward to that. I have Grizz Can on the line and I have Ben Haines. Ben, I'm going to let you go first. Travelling to Liverpool at the weekend, Spurs have had what I would call an indifferent start to the season. Are you confident going into this one?
That's very kind to say indifferent. I think absolutely rubbish might have been a better way of putting it. Not confident and not necessarily even able to predict what on earth is going to happen. I think the 5-0 in midweek was a little bit misleading in the sense that it flattered us a lot, and we haven't looked like that all season, barring a really good first half against Crystal Palace. So no, not necessarily confident. And I mean, honestly, Liverpool have been, without me to sort of blow smoke up your lot's backside, Liverpool have been fab to watch this year, just across the board. So I'm a little bit nervous. It's going to be a repeat. I don't know if you remember that game at Wembley where you absolutely pounded us. Sort of worried that it might be a bit of a repeat of that, to be honest.
Okay, so that there's a distinct lack of confidence here.
Do you know what, mate? I think it's what it is with Spurs at the moment is that we're so used to having an identity, and I think that's something that Liverpool fans are really, really enjoying at the moment. There's a very clear identity with the way that you guys play. There's a very clear strategy behind everything that you do, and Spurs have had that for the longest time. And for the first time since Pochettino joined, it just feels a little bit at the moment that there's a lack of identity there and there's a lack of structure and style. Although having said that, it would be very Spurs-like to suddenly go out and put in a huge performance this weekend. So I suppose that's one thing Liverpool should be a little bit wary of, maybe a bit of a backlash from this opening 9 games of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Grizz, Liverpool come into this off the back of a draw at Old Trafford and a 4-1 win against Genk last night in the Champions League. You know, as much as Spurs' 5-0 win may be something that you could overlook because of, you know, who they were playing, they were at home, stuff like that. Liverpool's one last night is probably in the same bracket. Not a great side, had flashes in the first half, but when Liverpool actually just got their rhythm about them, ran out very, very comfortable winners. You know, Genk looked like they were out on their feet after about 60 minutes. But how are you feeling? Just initial thoughts going into this game on Sunday. Are you filled with confidence, or are you going to give Ben loads of hope by telling us it'll be a 1-1 draw?
No, I'll get to that at the end.
Oh, I fucking know you will.
But listen, the point of it is, right, listen, we've got no reason not to feel confident, right? So, but there's a difference between being confident and sort of arrogant about it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Spurs are, you know how much I rate Spurs. I know you guys take the piss out of me, but I do. I actually rate Spurs. And I actually rate the manager very highly. And in a weird way, he is under pressure. He shouldn't be. In no way should he be under pressure, because that club, some would say, I don't know if Ben agrees, but probably been overachieving, you know, while he's been there. You know, I'm not sure what their net spend's like, but I can guess. I don't think it's that much, as I usually do. But under Levy, I'm assuming it's not a high net spend.
Don't worry, mate. You're bang on. It's not a high net spend at all.
It's not, is it? And Spurs are messing with a country, right, in Man City, and Liverpool, who have become sort of, well, Liverpool have always been a world institution, but now they've got the right manager, the right structure, as Ben was alluding to. So they've done well to sort of keep up with us, not all the time, but majority of the time, So it is the first dip, probably under Pochettino, but the worrying thing for them is it's more than a dip now. It is like going on for about 6 to 8, 9 months now, isn't it? So, but listen, in big games, big players stand up, big coaches tend to sort of pull out their tactics, special tactics. I'm comfortable that we should win, but I'm not. It's not a landslide or anything like that. It is like going on.
Okay. Yeah, do you know what's really interesting there, Grizz? I think the sort of thing that you picked out there that's kind of bang on the money is that even though right now that it does feel like maybe that the manager's under a little bit of pressure, I think Spurs fans have almost weirdly, over the course of 9 games, got used to the idea of this might be a transitional season. There was a load of talk, and I actually felt that there was more talk in the media from neutrals about the manager being under pressure than from actually within kind of the Spurs fan base. I think, like you said, Spurs fans are very appreciative of what Pochettino's done for the club, and to get us to a Champions League final, having spent nothing for the best part of 2 years, was to be like close to a miracle, really. That run was absolutely miraculous. So I think you're bang on, mate. I think he sort of got credit in the bank with Tottenham fans, and given how little we've spent in the past few seasons, he's definitely earned a lot of grace.
Do you know something? He definitely has some credit in the bank. Let's talk about Spurs for a few minutes, all right? And we'll get on to Liverpool, and we'll get on to the game itself and who might play and stuff like that. But, like, there's people asking questions here already. Like Chris asks, is Alderweireld injured as he didn't play against Red Star? As I think Sanchez always gives you a chance. Keep that in mind, Ben. I'll come back to that when we go to the lineups and how things may pan out. But just talking about Spurs, right? And I have a theory, Ben, right, and you can shoot me down, and you probably will. I have a feeling the relationship is not great between Mauricio Pochettino and Daniel Levy and the board, or whatever the setup is there at Tottenham Hotspur. I have a little feeling that players may have been signed above his head. That's just my opinion. And he has got credit in the bank, but you just said there that Spurs fans maybe feel that, this is a transitional season. Could it be a case that they're looking at it going, there's something not right here and we're just going to have to swallow it for the moment?
So let me I'll take them separately. So firstly, in terms of the relationship between Daniel Levy and Pochettino, they have a really, really complicated relationship in that I think on a personal level, they actually get on very well. I don't know if you remember kind of like a year ago, Pochettino wrote a book alongside Guillaume Balaguer, and there was this kind of like Tottenham curse or something like that was going around, that since he wrote the book, Spurs hadn't won a game in like 6 games or something like that, which was at the time absolutely ridiculous. But within the book, there were a number of sort of key messages that I actually felt gave a lot away about those two. So Pochettino doesn't agree necessarily with Daniel Levy's brinkmanship, shall we say, and the way that he tries to wait to the last minute, and they don't always sign the correct targets, and they'll take the second or the third target instead of the first target. But they do have a very, very good personal relationship, and I think that's why everyone is very secure in the idea that Pochettino will not lose his job. He could go out this weekend and get absolutely tonked by Liverpool, and he'll still be absolutely fine. And in terms of what you said about the signing players against his will, now this is an interesting one as well, because Pochettino sort of earned the right to choose the players that he wanted this summer, and he actually got 3 of them. So Sessegnon, Lo Celso, and Ndombele were all Pochettino picks. They were all people that we've been linked with for a long time. However, it was made very clear when Tottenham, for example, signed Sissoko. There was a really interesting quote from Pochettino when he said, Daniel Levy believes that I can turn Sissoko into a top player. We'll see. I thought that was a kind of thinly veiled dig at like, well, if he's going to pick the players that we're going to sign, I'm not going to guarantee that they're going to come off and work within my playing style. So I think there's it's sort of shades of grey, isn't it? I think their business relationship could be better. Their personal relationship is decent. Sometimes Pochettino gets who he wants, sometimes he doesn't. And I think for anyone that knows anything about football, you can imagine how enormously frustrating that must be at times, and how incredibly liberating that must be at times as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just when I'm watching sport, like, to be honest with you, I watch Liverpool and I'm usually just tunnel vision on Liverpool, but there's so many clubs this season that are intriguing to me. Leicester being the one from very early on. United,
Definitely.
what's going on at
Definitely.
United is another one, but also what's going on at Spurs, because you do have that mix of no money spent last season, managed to get to a Champions League final, brilliant achievement, and then you have the stadium issue. And when you look at North London and you look across at Arsenal and you see what happened to them when they spent massive money on a stadium, how they had to adjust themselves over the years that was after that, the kind of way it was difficult, although the money now is ridiculously much more than what it was at the time Arsenal done that. Just a couple of comments in here. Ray Dickinson says he's just popped in to let us know that Pepe has been added to the Ballon d'Or list because he scored tonight. Dunno asks, can we talk about Cornettos? We can absolutely talk about Cornettos before we finish. A couple of people have said, please let Ben know that we have the hots for Son, and we would love him in our team.
Grizz, you've been starting this agenda, mate.
Yeah,
Grizz did this the other day, you dirtbag.
Do you know what? If I could handpick any player from the Premiership, I'm talking Premiership, right? Possibly, all right, KDB apart, but this guy's Son is the one I would pick.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have if you got offered like a fully fit Laporte, you wouldn't have him over Matip.
No.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Barry Carr says if we got Son, we could run for president of the United States. Pop and Do says Anfield has to be absolutely bouncing at the weekend. Chris Brack says, to be fair, Sissoko nearly went to Everton, but he's counting his blessings that Spurs came in from. That's absolutely fair as well.
And he's just signed a new contract as well. It's absolutely mad.
Yeah,
I think
he's
that's
absolutely the future.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you said about Anfield has to be bouncing. I think it's really, really interesting what you said about the stadium itself, like Spurs' new stadium. I'm really glad that we're playing at Anfield this weekend, because Spurs are not settled in that stadium yet. They don't know how to be in that stadium. It doesn't feel like home just yet. We're still learning the routines and the kind of like the match day rituals as it were. And there's not properly like a sing section yet. And I actually think that Spurs will fare better in a kind of game where they're against the odds and backs against the wall than at home where there's almost some level of expectation. So I think Anfield will be absolutely rocking, as it always is. But I think that also is something that Spurs should be looking to embrace.
Yeah. Pop and Do mentions that the Champions League final when VVD went into fifth gear to ease Son out of shooting. But look, Son is a fabulous player. In all seriousness, if I thought there was any unrest at Spurs, I'd be absolutely turning the boat upside down in January. Never mind rocking it if it came to Son and putting a bid in there. But it'll be interesting to see how Spurs get on. In a different start, as I said, but they're not too far off where they would probably hope to be in the league. If you have a look at the league table, they're not too far off. Well,
it's because the rest of the teams are shite. I mean, even though I'm a fan of Spurs, right? And their setup and their manager. Not their setup so much, but their manager. I'm a big fan of Pochettino, all right? But they're kind of lucky that even though they've had a very poor start, they're there or thereabouts, aren't they? 4 or 5 points either way, and they're back in the sort of the echelons of top four. That's where they expect it to be. I don't think any Spurs fan realistically expected to challenge City and Liverpool. I think, consolidate another top four and then target one of the cups. Would you probably agree? I don't know if you'd agree with that, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reality. I think that, unfortunately, we all perhaps naively assumed that Spurs would occupy a position in that middle ground between Chelsea, Arsenal and United, and Liverpool and City. And thankfully, Chelsea and Arsenal have been up and down themselves. I mean, Chelsea have lost twice, Arsenal have lost twice, Spurs have lost 3 times. So it's not, we're not a million miles away. A couple of wins, and as you say, we're sort of back into the top 4. And Leicester are kind of the surprise package, aren't they? Because they're not playing in Europe, so their players are sort of fully fit and box fresh and seem to be on the front foot all the time. I don't know whether they'll be able to maintain this form. We wrote them off a couple of years ago, and they maintained that form all the way through the season and got a very good manager as well. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think you're right, Grizz. I think eventually, 10 games from now, we'll see the league filter through, and you'll probably see Leicester perhaps drift off a little bit. And then Liverpool and City will be miles out in front, and it'll be a straight shootout for that third and fourth position.
Barry Carr loves Son Heung-min so much. He said he would sack off getting Mbappe, Sancho, and the Nike deal if we could just get hold of him.
Relax, Barry.
Relax, will you? Grizz has some Twittering to do about that sort of stuff. Stop being stupid.
Relax a little bit, yeah.
Listen, Grizz, looking at Liverpool, they win during the week. They were poor at Old Trafford. We've gone over it numerous times, both on this show and in private. They didn't seem to get going. They had no rhythm about them, and funny, when they got that rhythm, they could have tore United apart in the last 15. And if the game had gone on another 10 minutes, it's I think it's Liverpool's there to win, and probably would have done. But the win during the week, a couple of changes, freshens up lads, i.e. Henderson and Wijnaldum, even though he comes on for the last 10 or so. But going into this one, Grizz, it's a big game. It always is against Spurs, at Anfield, 4:30. It's the place, as someone else said earlier, the place will be bouncing, the place will be ready to go, as Anfield usually is on match days now, regardless of what time of day we play, because in my reckoning, it's the best Liverpool side I've actively seen. And what I mean that is the best one, I was probably about 5 years old, but the one that I could live through, this is probably the best Liverpool. This is the best Liverpool side I've ever seen. But this one, Grizz, is it good that we come off the back? It's United we're coming off the back of with this one to try and make a point. Is it a good fixture to have, as opposed to some people might say, oh, I'd love Norwich at home, even though we've played them, but Norwich at home, this for me is the right sort of game to have, Grizz, to bounce back after what was a disappointing draw last weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, the Genk in between kind of worked out perfectly as well, because as you said, we got to give 4 or 5 players a rest, freshened up. It's definitely given him some selection headaches. I personally don't think it's much of a headache. I think he's going to go to his tried and tested formula. Spurs actually do give us a good game at Anfield. I know we've got a good record in terms of sort of wins, whatever, but in the last few years, if we actually analyse the games, we've been fairly lucky, especially last year with the Salah own goal. I think it was in the end or something like that.
Alderweireld own goal.
That's the one, yeah. So Spurs do actually give us a good game. Look, it's a perfect game. In terms of, I'd rather us playing a big team, and Spurs are a big team, after the Man United. We can call it debacle because our standards have been so high this season. We can definitely call that a debacle of a performance. We've ripped it enough, Gav. I don't want to go through it again. It's going to, it gets me angry. It's everything that we said, don't do, Liverpool. Don't play the occasion. Don't get nervous. Don't be timid. Treat them like the Burnley and Sheffield United level they are, right? But we actually played into their hands kind of thing and sort of froze again, which was frustrating until the last 15 minutes where sort of he unleashed sort of Keita, Ox, Lallana, etc., etc., and, they were shit scared. Spurs will be good. I think Spurs definitely try to play against us as well, which is good. Spurs don't really sit back, with the likes of Lamela, Son on the flanks or behind Kane. I don't think they've got the personnel to sit back. Again, going through their lineup compared to ours, their midfield, I don't think they've got a standout central midfielder. I mean, I think Ndombele is a wonderful technician, wonderful technique on the ball. Wonderful.
I didn't realise Brendan Rodgers has joined us. Go on.
Yeah. I'll give context, mate. I ain't gonna just waffle.
Yeah, sure.
So Ndombele, like if you go for likes, our midfield is stronger, but that forward line of theirs will give us issues and problems. But I'm anticipating a very good game, man. I always enjoy watching Liverpool Spurs. It's usually an end-to-end open game. It's not, it's not there's not much tension to a Liverpool and Spurs game, if you know what I mean. I can't explain it. There's a certain tension, like when there's a Man United or whatever, Man City, obviously. But with Spurs, maybe it's because of the the record that we've got against them. It gives us sort of a feeling of, look, whatever happens, we'll beat them in the end, kind of thing. But, I think it will be tricky, but I think it's going to be a very open and exciting game.
Do you know what's strange as well? There was like a weird kind of mutual respect for each other after the Champions League final. Like you expect to come away from a game like that and be sort of almost you guys like sticking it to Spurs fans and Spurs fans like aggressive back to Liverpool fans. In actual fact, I think as Liverpool had done it the season before, it was like, look, we know how crap it is to be in that position, and like fair play for making it this far. And on the other hand, Spurs looked at Liverpool and like, look, you managed that game perfectly. No one can have any qualms with the way that Liverpool absolutely like played their game plan to perfection. So, like you said, I don't think there's a kind of weird atmosphere, isn't there? It's not like anyone's going out there with the intention to thoroughly ruin the other team. It's just going to be a really good game. And like you said, Grizz, we had a couple of decent ding-dongs at Anfield over the last couple of years. I thought the 2-2 was a quality game. Where Wanyama scored that goal, when Salah then came straight back after Kane missed the penalty. And then last year as well, when you had the when it sort of looked like everything was going to go Liverpool's way, and then Spurs suddenly had two counter-attacks, and Sissoko ballooned that one over the bar from about 6 yards, and I thought that was it. I thought that was going to be the moment, but thankfully for Liverpool, it was Sissoko 6 yards out, not anyone else.
There's a couple of people on here just trying to talk about the Liverpool team, what do you think might happen with regards to Oxlade-Chamberlain and Henderson in midfield. We will get to that. I'll get Grizz's team prediction before we finish. Carl Duff is asking about the prediction for our back four because he still has doubts over Matip. Will he be back or not? Not about his ability, obviously. Northred reckons Ox ex-Arsenal against Spurs will be ideal. I'm not too sure. Popandoo says Robertson, VVD, Matip, Trent. He reckons that may be the back four. Do you know what, Ben? I was doing a podcast in the last hour, the Cup Table podcast, and what every week they do a preview of Liverpool's Premier League game, and Mickey Hazard was the guest on there, and he was talking about. I was asking about what way do I put this? The team bonding or the solidity in the team and the squad, there's being bits and pieces in the media and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he was mentioning that the Watford game at the weekend, he felt it was a very, very poor from Spurs. Watford played okay and sat behind the ball, but there was no real zest or real kind of, I wouldn't say ambition, but there was no real drive in that Spurs side. But he noticed in the change in personnel on Tuesday night, and he reckons a couple of lads that may have been an issue with regards to wanting to leave the club, A, B, and C, whatever players they are. He felt that the application and the drive from that side on Tuesday night was way, way different. Is that something you noticed, and is it something that maybe Pochettino may have to bite the bullet and say, yeah, he X, Y, and Z are good players, but they're giving out all the wrong signals. I'm going to have to go with different players here, maybe not first choice, but players that really, really want to put this Spurs shirt on and give everything for us. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that. I think the Watford performance was a really, really abject, slow, lethargic performance, and the fact that we in that game we played a 5 at the back. I say a 5 at the back, but we played with high kind of wing backs. Something that obviously Man United did against you guys. So it'll be interesting to see whether we do that again. The problem for us is that our wing backs were not creative at all. Aurier and Rose had horrible games against Watford. So to see Ben Davis come in the other night was I'm not going to say a relief, but Danny Rose has had a poor season so far. So I imagine we could see Ben Davis in there again. I'm not sure if he'll revert to a 3 at the back. He played 2 at the back the other night in the Champions League against Red Star. Potentially he might sort of copy the Man United blueprint against you guys and just look to counter attacks. Obviously we've got enough pace in potentially Son, Lucas, Kane to lead the line. But you are right. I think there has to be some sort of message to the guys that are potentially looking like they're going to go stale, that you're not going to be able to just walk into the team. You've got to actually turn up and put a shift in. So like you say, interesting to see who starts. But for me, I think the biggest one there will be Ben Davies at left back. And the reason why that's big for me is because I think we all remember what Mane did to him kind of 3 years ago, or whenever it was, or 2 years ago. Like, horrifying how much he ruined him in that game. But yeah, for me, I think Ben Davies starts. But there may be a couple of others that kind of sneak in that perhaps shouldn't be in there.
In weird breaking news, Jack Rodwell to undergo medical at Roma after leaving Blackburn.
Bizarre.
Absolutely bizarre. That comes from Chris Brack.
And he was on 70. He was on 70k. He was on 70k a week at Sunderland. You know, I mean, imagine that. What money is he on at Roma?
Yeah, well, there you go. He's undergoing a medical at Roma. So
but just when you think Roma couldn't make a more worse signing than Chris Smalling, right? They fucking go and buy Jack Rodwell. What is going on?
Don't know. There must be there must be a tax break involved or something. I don't know. Poppendoo says the Reds would need to target Rose on Sunday. He feels he may be Spurs' weak spot. There you go. He's just spoken about Ben. There has just spoken about Ben Davies coming in. Let me see. Owen Newell asks, what formation does Ben think Spurs will go with? Potentially a back five. Yeah, he's touched on it there. I think it's suicide to go back five against Liverpool. I really do.
Do you? Yeah, even though United did at the weekend.
Come here. The thing about the United game at the weekend was, if you actually go, I've watched that game back. I watched it live, and I've watched it I've watched it twice since. And I can what?
You sad frog.
I know. Well, I tell you what, I was starting the Rocky box set. I've watched Rocky 1, good. Rocky 2, half an hour left, boring as fuck. But I've heard 3 and 4 are really good, and I'm not allowed to watch 5 because it's horrendous.
You've never watched them yet?
No, I've never watched the Rocky movie. No.
Ben,
you don't want to get into this. You don't want to get into this.
We'll be here for hours.
Where's he been all his life?
The list is endless. I'm not going into it. I will afterwards. I'll give you the list afterwards.
He's been watching shit like Pineapple Express, right? And he hasn't watched Rockies.
Oh my god, criminal!
Grizz is trying to tell me for about 6 months to watch these 2 shows, and I just haven't got around to them. But when I watched, going back to a semi-serious point, I watched this game 3 times overall. Okay. And the thing about it is, like, the media and Sky or whoever was reporting this game said Manchester United were really, really good tactically against Liverpool. That's nonsense. It's absolute utter nonsense. And the reason is because, forget all tactics for a minute and forget that they lined up with 7 predominantly defensive players. Liverpool came out onto that pitch and could not string passes together under no pressure. There was no movement, there was no drive forward, there was no interlinked play, there was nothing there. And you know something? The game was open for Liverpool to do it. And when they done it every so often, they looked like they were opening United up. Liverpool were just poor at the weekend, and it didn't matter that United played 3 or 4 at the back. Funnily enough, if United had played a 4-3-3, they may have had more chance against Liverpool at the weekend because of how poor Liverpool were. But they sacrificed that for going 3 at the back. They pushed their wing backs up. That's fair enough. But Liverpool usually will come out, and it doesn't really matter what formation you play. You've seen it at Arsenal earlier on the season, or at home to Arsenal. Arsenal came out and played a diamond. Suicidally came out and played a diamond. Liverpool took no time to figure it out and just went for them. Liverpool went and showed United too much respect there at the weekend, and because of that, they could not get out of a gear. They could not click into the next one until probably 15 minutes from the end. So, look, if you go, the problem you have with Liverpool is if you go 3 at the back, our 3 up front will just go and stand on them 3 centre halves, and we'll trust the rest of the team to dominate everywhere else, and then we'll just go 3 on 3 against you, and more times than not we will win. But that's just how it goes.
Did you not think the other day though that maybe United just took a bit of a gamble on the fact that they felt your midfield wasn't going to be creative enough if they played with a low block? What stood out for me is that United obviously they recognised, and fair play to them for doing this, because for all of the chat about them being like the biggest side of the Premier League era, blah blah blah, they ate some humble pie and just said, look, Liverpool are a better team than us, so we've got to just go out to try and nullify the areas where Liverpool are phenomenal, aka the front 3 and then your wing backs, and just hope that we can counter-attack. And they played with 2 up top, which I thought was a good idea. I totally agree with you about a diamond. I mean, Spurs cannot afford to play a diamond this weekend. We'll get absolutely ruined. But I'd be interested. I think Pochettino might go with a 5 at the back, or it could be a 4-2-3-1, which is his kind of, you'd have to say over the course of 5 years, is probably his best formation to date. I just think United, like you're right, we can't give them too much credit for that performance because all they did was really recognise that they were not good enough to take you on. But at the same time, they took their chances and it kind of paid off, right?
Yeah, it did pay off, but like they played 5 at the back and they were a low block, right? As people like to say, this low block. But if you watch Liverpool against low block teams and they play Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, what they do is Fabinho protects, wins the ball, and redistributes it here, there, and everywhere. And what happens is Liverpool just pass, go left, go right, go left, go right. Firmino will come out and take a touch on the right wing or the left wing. Mane might move in. Salah might go here. But that didn't happen on Sunday. It was United's performance was dictated by the fact that Liverpool were extremely poor. That's just the way I look at it, and that's not where Liverpool tinted glasses on. Watching the game 3 times, I still look and going, how poor were we? You play
beneath yourselves.
Like, absolutely. And people said United dragged us down to a level. No, we went down there ourselves. We didn't get dragged. We went down there willingly ourselves. We should have come out and imposed ourselves on our game on them and absolutely took them apart.
I think we really missed Salah. Of course, any team would miss Salah, but I think Klopp made a mistake, and obviously we don't want to go back too much into the United game, but I think the fact that he knew Salah was missing and we didn't add to the creativity in midfield simultaneously, I think that backfired on us. We just tried to do a like for like, and it was just not a like for like with Big Div for Mo. I think that's where the crucial error was for me anyway. And apart from individuals actually not playing very well on the day, as you said. I mean, I thought Hendo had a stinker, Trent had a stinker, etc., etc.
Yeah, it was we just didn't show up, and this team relies on rhythm and different things, and the game on Sunday we get a point. I don't think it's done us any harm, because 8 wins and a draw is no harm, but also it's given us a little kick that we may have needed. We've got some rhythm in midweek, and we come into this one, as I said, I think it's a great game to go into, a big game rather than a straightforward game against Brighton at home or something like that. Grizz, give me a prediction for Sunday.
Oh, okay, on the spot, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I like it.
Would you like to take 5 minutes?
No, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win.
2-1 win, okay. And Ben, what would your prediction be for Sunday?
Yeah, sorry to be a bit vanilla, but I'm sort of a 2-1 win as well. But I'll maybe go a little, as in 2-1 win for Liverpool. Sorry, I'll go a little bit deeper though. I think Spurs might sort of sting Liverpool at the beginning. I think we might do a little bit what Newcastle did to you guys, get a chance and take it, and then sit off and get deeper and deeper, and you guys just pick us off. But the optimist in me thinks that Spurs will have a good performance and will come out of our heads held high and give you a really good game. I think Liverpool might just have a bit too much quality and a bit too much atmosphere-wise for us.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask for lineups because there's loads of questions coming in there with regards to, Spurs centre halves. Have they got 3 fit centre halves? Liverpool, of course, are waiting on Matip. Team predictions, you usually get a really good feel around Friday afternoon when the last training session is done and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see. Poppendoo says 3-1 to Liverpool. Kev O'Sullivan says 2-0. We need a clean sheet to get that clean sheet ball rolling. But look, lads, before we go, it was mentioned very, very early in the show. Can we speak about Cornettos? We absolutely can. Grizz, as a man that once filled a fridge full with double-decker ice cream, and I have got the evidence. What's your take on Cornetto's flavour?
Cornetto, definitely one of my favourites. And listen, you got to give that ice cream shout context only because it was like the what was it down the road? The co-op down the road was closing down.
Yeah.
So basically, they had to get rid of everything,
all their ice cream.
And I love a bargain. So basically I was sending one member of the family because there was only limits you could take.
Ah, right.
So I come from a very big family, as most Asians do, right? So yeah. I got everyone to buy 5 cartons of each thing and filled up my freezer. I've got a garage, but I've got a big freezer, so sort of for emergencies and comfort foods like this. Yeah. But yeah, Cornetto.
For emergencies, like after a 1-1 draw with United. I bet you went straight for the freezer.
Mate,
yeah.
Straight, mate,
up to his eyes in double-decker ice cream.
I tell you. But no, the Cornetto is mad. Yeah, I love Cornettos. But it's got to be the original. The original Cornetto for me
Right.
the ultimate. Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Cornetto, I think Cornetto, and closely followed by Feast. I don't know if they still make. I'm sure they still.
The mint feast was amazing.
Yeah, the Feast. Forget all these. I don't even know new ones' names. Don't even ask me to sort of name the new popular ones. But yeah, the old classics like.
Did
Feast
the co-op not do like millennial ice creams? No,
I didn't check in. Listen, I only went for the bargain, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go for a fucking proper shop, right? I just went
you
for
didn't
the
go
bargain.
for the big shop. You just
It was literally £1 a tub. You
Okay.
cannot go wrong with the quality of ice cream that was on sale for £1. Come on. So I had every right
basically,
to buy 27.
I slagged you about having all that ice cream, okay? And you know, me and you do this all the time. But basically, you rounded up. Probably, if there was limits on it, I would say you probably rounded up 10 to 12 members of your family. And the reason for it being is that the co-op down the road is shutting down. They've loads of double-decker ice cream. It's a £1 a tub, so you all need to go down there and buy 5 tubs each.
It wasn't just double-decker.
No, it wasn't. It was double-decker. It was...
it was mixture, man. Come on.
Snickers, Mars. There was loads.
Oh, I hate my missus for showing you the pictures.
I know. I love her. She's me favourite, Grizz. She really is. Ben, Cornettos or any other ice cream, it's completely open to you, but a lot of people are shouting for the original. Some people are saying the strawberry, which I think is an abomination, and a lot of people are going for the mint. Is there anything else out there?
Good. I was worried. I was worried you were going to say that the mint was kind of like a no-go, and suddenly I was going to have to pretend the signal was bad and sort of disappear. I'm a huge mint fan.
Yeah,
huge mint fan.
Yeah,
and Grizz makes a lovely point regarding the feast. The feast used to have a mint on the go as well, which was amazing. But I remember I would like. As a kid, if you're ever by the beach and your sort of ice cream of choice, you go Cornetto, and then you get to the end and you sort of at that point where you're like, I want this to keep going, but you hit the chocolate and you're like, right, game on. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking on gas. Let's get the chocolate in. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely. I remember one time my dad, like while I wasn't looking, bit the bottom off my Cornetto.
Oh my God.
It took me months to forgive him. Like months. Livid. Absolutely livid. But yeah, top drawer ice cream.
You know when someone takes a bite out of the bit in the middle of the feast, when you get to the chocolate bit, that's anger. I'm Incredible Hulk. You do that to me, I'm mate. Incredible Hulk. I'm telling you that now.
On a real one, I think you have every right to just go and buy a fresh one. Like, because there's like a psychological thing there. Like, you're really looking forward to that middle bit.
That's the part that you was waiting for all your life.
It's the disrespect.
Yeah, I didn't realize when I mentioned Cornettos that, like, you know, real family issues will come up. I didn't realize that
real football men like Cornettos.
That's the
real football men. I presume you're speaking about me and you, Ben, when you say that. But look, I didn't realize it was going to be a counselling session. Let me see. Chris Brack. Last question. Chris Brack says, "Is there anything really stupid you've ever done because someone dared you?" Grizz, apart from getting onto that camel that was the height of a double-decker bus, is there anything that you've done that people have dared you? And
no,
you've
I'm not gullible, Gav. I don't do these kind of things. You know, I'm not one of these that sort of you can easily trick into doing something stupid. You know, I've got. I
don't think it's a trick. I think it's just a dare.
Yeah, dare. You know, but that's stupidity, innit? If someone's gonna dare you to do something stupid and you're stupid enough to do it, then you know. You're not right in the head, and I'm fairly right in the head.
You're fairly right in the head.
Very level-headed man, Grizz.
Very level-headed man.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Ben, have you got anything that you were ever dared to do and it didn't work out well for you?
I can't. Do you know what? Dares wise, I can never remember off the top of my head, like anything sort of from my haunted past. Yeah, actually, I tell you what. The one thing I do remember. At university, I sort of originally joined both the football and the rugby team because I wanted to kind of just play as much sport as I could. I went to the rugby initiation, and one of the kind of initiation dares, as it were, was that you had to see away a pint of snakebite from your shoes. And because you're in that first initial kind of bit of freshers and you have the panic that you need to fit in, I remember stupidly drinking a pint of snakebite out of a brand new white plimsoll that my parents had just bought for me before going to uni. I remember walking home barefoot carrying these pink plimsolls in my hand. So yeah, I absolutely bowed to peer pressure. I'm not nearly as level-headed as Grizz.
Yeah, look, it's No, listen, fair play. I've got away with that. The one there I would not do is after a Liverpool draw or defeat would be to go into Grizz's garage and when he asks you to go and have a look at my freezer. I don't think that's right. Listen, that's the FB4 Daily. Grizz, thanks a million for joining me. One of my best humans that I know.
Thank you, no problem, man. Pleasure.
Okay, Ben, thanks a million for joining us, and we will have
Guys,
you on again.
Thank you so much. What an absolute pleasure. And we'll speak again soon and enjoy the game at the weekend.
Yeah, and the same to everybody else. Enjoy the game at the weekend. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be back on Friday at 10 p.m. as normal. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, what's left of it. We'll talk to you soon. Over and out.